There it is. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the late start here. If you guys have been waiting, as you can see, I'm having camera issues. The camera that I usually use, which is in front of me, is not, for whatever reason, connected to my computer. So we've got the FaceTime camera on my laptop instead. So you can kind of see the lovely background behind me, the room that I'm in, the green screen, and everything. So we decided just to go forward like this. Hope you guys are okay with the different angle. I'm going to be going through some information anyway, so you're not gonna. The focus isn't me and my face. I'm just used to looking up there, not here. So, hey Scott, how are you guys doing? Would love to hear from you guys. Let me know where you're checking in from, especially if I saw you at Prosper. If I met you guys, I know a lot of people were there, and they came up and thanked me for these sessions and said that they watched. So it was really cool for any of you guys that might have been there in Prosper last week. Thank you for coming up and to our booth, to our events. If any of you were there, let us know. Would love to hear how you guys enjoyed that last week in Vegas. It was really great to see everybody, and honestly, it was really great just to be out and about in a conference live. The first major event of since over a year and a half. So Audrey, my favorite. It was so lovely to meet you, Audrey. Seriously, I can't wait to get in touch with you and see how things are going. I do have a slight tickle in my throat. I'm hoping that it's nothing. So I got my coffee here. So if I start drinking this coffee while I'm talking, it's because I'm feeling a little bit of a tickle. Fingers crossed it's not anything. I am fully vaccinated, so that should not be an issue. But anyways, I guess we should not wait any more time. Usually I wait a little bit of time to let people check in. However, it's been 10 minutes past. So I will definitely go over 10 minutes if you guys do have questions. For those of you who may not know, we do have an email that you can send. Yeah, I loved seeing you too, Mir. We do have an email, ppcama at helium10.com. If you want to send questions ahead of time, you can do that. Feel free. And these sessions are twice a month. I don't want to say bi-weekly because sometimes I do skip. So, but at a minimum, we do these twice a month on these Tuesdays. These TACoS Tuesdays, which stands for Total ACoS, not just the food tacos, which I love. But if you send those questions to me ahead of time, or even topics, a lot of you have sent some really interesting topics that you'd like me to cover, which I will be doing in the near future. So feel free to also include in that email address you see on your screen right there anything that you'd like me to talk about. And would definitely, we review everything that comes in. Do not expect a reply to the emails that come in. That is just an inbox only, inbound only email. Saying with that said, I do have a couple of questions that have been sent in the past couple of weeks. Hopefully, the people are on. Sometimes that might be an issue where you ask a question and you might not be able to make the next episode, but we do record all of these. Even this crazy one here with the weird screen will be up in our YouTube channel. Hopefully we can make it look better post production. And so you can always review after the fact the training sessions that I do on our YouTube channel. I do have a playlist, so you could just go there and you can review those questions. I do see some questions coming in right now. Mir and Jake. Wait, Jake, why do you have to go live as I'm ordering a sandwich? I knew you were ordering a sandwich, Jake, so that's why I went live. I will answer your question, Mir, after I answered the two questions that are already preloaded. And interestingly, they are very similar. So I definitely wanted to address this. Seems like there might be some confusion with your auto search terms. So let's read through this first one. My main keyword is from Rosina. So if you're on, Rosina, hello. My main keyword is really draining my auto campaign over 300%. It's been 2 months since launch, but it's doing okay in manual broad. I hope you guys are following my face here. I'm like, well, that's where it should only be there. Would you make it a negative in auto? Yes. But then she says, I know it's usually advised not making keywords negative in the auto, even if they are in other types of campaigns. That is not the recommendation. So Rosina, if you've got you see your product's main search term is coming up in your auto campaign, and it's got over 300% ACoS, negative exact it. Negative exact it. Don't negative phrase it, but just negative exact it. So if you negative exact it, then it's just that actual exact search term that it's going to get negative. So let's say it's a dog collar. I don't know why I was default to dog collar. I should come up with a new default. So, but dog collar itself is not converting for you, and it's a main keyword because you're selling a dog collars. You just make dog collar exact negative. But if somebody types in blue dog collar or large dog collar, then you could still come up. So that is the difference between making it exact and making it phrase. If you phrase matched a negative just dog collar, then you wouldn't see any variations at all. So that's the thing that I say don't do if you see a keyword that is actually making sales, but they're on the higher end. Number one, move it into a different campaign, and which you did. You said it's doing okay in the manual broad. That's great. That's where it's supposed to go. You're supposed to pull converting search terms out of your auto campaigns into your broad. Now, if it was doing well in your auto campaign still, that's when I would say then don't bother, don't make it negative. So there's some miscommunication when it comes to this concept. I feel like if it's doing well in the auto campaign, you're going to get lower CPCs in the auto campaign than you are directly targeting it in a manual campaign. So just leave it there, but also target it in your broad match campaign. And if it's doing really well, also target it in your exact match campaign, your performance campaign. But if it's not doing well, which is not over 300% ACoS, then yeah, definitely make it negative exact. Let's look at the next question. I believe it's similar. Aisha says, if a highly relevant search term is not converting well in the auto PPC campaign, even after 10 to 15 clicks, it is recommended by you guys to make a separate campaign for it and target that particular highly spending keyword in it with some low bid. So do we have to negative that particular search term in auto? Aisha, none of that is right. If a highly relevant search term is not converting for you well in your PPC campaign, in your auto, again, you're saying auto, make it negative, especially after 10 to 15 clicks. It depends on how your product, depends on your CPCs. If it's got a really, really high CPC, it might be 5 clicks, right? So it depends on, cost of your product. If your product's only $10, but the cost per clicks are $1, then you can really only afford 4 or 5 clicks. So it really depends on the cost of your product and how much it's your cost per clicks. But as a general rule, regardless of margins or anything, if it's 10 to 15 clicks and there's no sales, make it negative. Make it a negative exact if you want. If you still want to see if any different phrase variations or versions might attract some sales, that's fine. That's why you just make it negative exact. However, if you're seeing that particular search term and lots of different variations of that search term are also not converting for you, that's when you go ahead and you make it a negative phrase, and that covers all variations of that particular search term. So that's the first part of this question. So then you go into making a separate campaign for it. Why would you make a separate campaign for a keyword that's a search term that's not converting for you? You only make a separate campaign for keywords that are converting for you, right? So these are two separate things. We negative out the search terms that are not performing, and for the keywords that are performing, we move them into a campaign. Our tool will do that. Atomic will do that for you automatically. We do have some stipulations on how many keywords you should have in a campaign at any given time. We recommend no more than 20. We are working on a way to make that automated right now, but right now you have to just manually look at those keywords that are moving into your campaigns, and then create new campaigns to feed those keywords into. So I don't want you confusing the negative keyword rules, which I just explained in the last question in the beginning of this one, with the movement of keywords. You only move keywords that have converted. You don't move them out of the auto campaign otherwise. You let them keep seeing if there's any kind of clicks. And I want to make sure highly spending keyword, some low bid, so we have some negative that particular search term in auto. Yeah, again, just move keywords that have converted from your auto campaign. If it's not, make it a negative. Okay. It looks like we got quite a few questions. Let's just go ahead and go through those. I will be going over a particular topic that I went over or tried to go over 2 weeks ago with you guys, which is creating some sponsored display audience campaigns, because I think it's really, really cool for those of you that have access to. But let's get through some of these questions first, because you guys have been waiting patiently. Mir says, can you please briefly describe about using long tail keywords, short tail, and conditions, minimum competition for using long tail? So the reason that long-term, short tail, that is even a thing, is really well, two things, I guess. One, you want to use different strategies to see if you might. The broader your strategy is, the more likely you're going to find potential keywords that are going to convert for you, right? So there's two things. For your long tail keywords, you should put those in a campaign together. Long tail keywords mean typically like maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Actually, no, 4. I think that's the only thing you can target. So 3 to 4 words, like blue dog collar, right? Small blue dog collar, right? So that's it's more precise, which means there's going to be less traffic for it, right? The more search terms somebody puts in their search in Amazon, it starts narrowing it down, right? Where if they just put dog collar, then which most people do. Most people will just start their search on Amazon with dog collar. That's what they're looking for. And then they'll whittle it down. So that first dog collar results page is very, very, a lot more traffic, right? That's your short tail keywords, right? That's just 2 keywords. So short tail kind of is your high converting keywords. And then long tail keywords are keywords with less traffic. So you don't want to mix the two, because dog collar, if you had that in your campaign, it has very high search volume. It's going to eat all your budget. So you also don't want small blue dog collar, which is a long tail keyword, in the same campaign, because then small blue dog collar won't get any impressions. So that's number one. You want to make sure, if you're going to use this strategy, split them up. And number two, for I know some sellers that don't have high budgets. And so what I suggest for them is to maybe even just start with just long tail keywords. There's not a lot of traffic to them, so you're not going to blow through your budget, but you might find some nuggets in there that are going to work for you. And it is a way to make sure you don't blow through your budget with these high volume search terms such as dog collar. So those are the conditions. As far as the competition, Mira, I think you're saying, like, what's the search volume you should be looking for? At a minimum, I would say for your short tail keywords, you want to make sure there's at least 500. If you're using Magnet, that the search volume is at least 500 a month, right? So below that, you still might get some conversions, but I would say try to keep at least 500 for those shorter tail keywords. Long tail keywords. For the shorter, high converting, keywords, that's up to you. It really depends on how much, again, budget you potentially are willing to go through to be seen for some of those really high search volume keywords. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. I wanted to say, what did you think? Okay, yeah. So Andrew, I will answer your question in the when I go in, because I see your question there, Andrew, right above Sandeep. So I'll go into your question when I actually do the demo. Sandeep says there are sales that have come from an unrelated keyword or product which I could have negative otherwise. What to do in such cases? Still negative them, or wait? If wait, how long should we keep them? Sales that are coming from unrelated keywords. So I'm assuming this isn't an auto campaign, Sandeep, because you didn't target these unrelated keywords directly. It happens sometimes. Typically, they're just flukes. So I would say that just leave them alone as long as it's not as long as it's not costing you. If it's a high ACoS unrelated keyword, then make it negative. If it's not a high ACoS unrelated keyword, then don't make it negative. If that unrelated keyword is low ACoS and you see it maybe at least 2 sales or 3 sales, then maybe that is something you might want to consider targeting directly in a manual campaign. However, again, as long as it's low ACoS, I would say just leave it alone in the auto campaign and do not make it negative. So still negative them or wait. If wait, how long should we keep them? Again, look at the data. Keep them in that auto campaign and until the ACoS switches. If it goes from a low ACoS sale to a high ACoS sale, that's when you make it a negative. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Sandeep. If not, then let me know. Let's see. Mir says, "Oh wait, sorry, thank you. Let's hear. What's a secret method to know how much ad budget our competitors are spending?" Oh, okay. So I can see why he jumped over that because there is no way. There's no way to know. There, as far as I know, Mir, there is no way to know how much your competitors are spending. You can kind of get an idea for it if you want to, let's say, look at your top keyword that's most relevant for you. You can put that into you can use your Chrome extension, do X-ray, put that into the search bar, download the report that you get from the Chrome extension. You can see the search volume on the keywords. So if you can figure out what some of the bids are, or well, you shouldn't be able to know the search term that you put in. You should be able to figure out what the bid is at that snapshot in time. Then you might be able to extrapolate how much your competitors are spending. But why are you worrying about that? That's silly. Who cares how much your competitors are spending? So you spend as much as you can spend, and then make sure that your campaigns aren't going out of budget, and then you're fine. All right, Uzair says, do we need to place similar keyword on negative exact if we are having good conversions on high search volume and the most relevant one? All right, let me see if I'm understanding. Do we need to place similar keywords on negative exact if we were having good conversions on high search volume and the most relevant one? So I might have already answered this question, Uzair, with the previous answers. Let me know if I did not. So, but let's pretend this is not an auto campaign, since that is all I've been talking about. So let's say this is a broad keyword campaign, and you're getting search terms. So I would say, again, in that broad keyword campaign, you only make the keyword negative exact if you want to see if you can get sales from it from other variations, from other versions, from other phrases. If you're seeing that you're looking at your search term reports for one particular search term, for example, and you're seeing that even phrases aren't working for you, then that's when you would negative phrase. So that's the difference between those two. I tend to always lean towards negative exact. In me personally, just because you never know, you might get a sale or a conversion off of a different version, with a word or two before or after that exact search term. And again, if you're using a tool like Atomic, it's always doing that for you. So you don't really have to worry about it. So if you're having good conversions, then again, I would say leave it alone. So don't negative it, right? But in this example, again, we're talking about a broad keyword campaign. So then I would say, if you are getting good conversions with high search volume, then also just make sure that you're targeting it exact as well. And that way you're covering your bases. You're saying this exact search phrase is converting for me, so I want to bid on it exactly, but I also want to keep it in my broad keyword campaign because I'm seeing that there are search terms that are coming to it that are also making sales. So if you want to narrow it down, then yeah, you would make it negative exact in your broad campaign. You'd potentially still get some variations to it because you didn't negative phrase, and then you would be targeting it exactly in your proven campaign or performance campaign, which is what we now call it if you're following our particular flow that we do have. All right. Sandeep, sponsored display campaigns has bid optimization options. So that is the thing I was going to go through. So let's and Andrew asked too. So let's go through that. Yeah, sorry. Let's see, GP. What's the best way to make sure you don't go out of budget with your campaigns? Put a lot of money in it, GP. That's it. That's it. All you can do is make sure that you're monitoring it. There are new budget controls actually in Seller Central that you could also utilize. That's brand new. I don't know if you guys didn't see that. Why don't we go ahead and do that since I'm talking about it? So I do have a screen up right now. Why don't we go ahead and share that? But I'm going to go back because this is interesting and this is new. So Amazon just launched budgets, so you can actually track. I haven't really spent a lot of time in it, but if you guys really want to see how your campaigns are doing budget wise, it's got some your sales, your average time in budget. So this one is saying, even though this campaign is paused, so this is weird. Whenever Amazon launches new things, you guys, especially when it says beta on it, I tend to not go into it too deeply. I wait until that beta is gone or new. I tend to not go into it. But if you really wanted to manage your budgets, GP, I would say jump into here and see if you can look at this data. So you can see right here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. You can see that it's giving me some information saying not enough data. So this is telling me that I'm going to go out of budget, right? And it's recommending, Amazon's recommending a budget here of $230 a day based on the data for a paused campaign, right? Which is, typical Amazon. So, but keep in mind, Amazon's always about doing the best things for them. So you have to keep that in mind. The other way, though, you can take advantage of budgets and controlling your budgets. Just use your portfolio. You can see in this account here, these are bike racks. I've got each type of bike rack in a portfolio. So if I wanted to set a budget just on a group of campaigns, you can also do that too. So make sure you're taking advantage of portfolios. They're a great way to track how specific products are doing, especially if you've got a lot of campaigns for that product. Portfolios are something you can also see in Atomic. You can't build them in Atomic, but you can see them. But the other thing that you can only do in Amazon is actually create a budget. So if I wanted to right now, I could say, I only want, I only want a certain amount to be spent per month. It looks like they've got date range. So it's a little bit flexible. So I can tell Amazon, I only want, X amount of money to be spent on this grouping. So that is also another way that you can help control your budgets. Okay. So now let's go back to the main thing that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if I'll have time to do both versions, but so I wanted to talk about sponsored display. You guys know that I did talk about product targeting campaigns, I believe 2 weeks ago, if you were here. I will be talking about sponsored display product targeting campaigns again in 2 weeks, because we do have a promotion coming up with Amazon, $200 ad credit promotion. You guys are hearing it first. And that's going to start in August. So it'll actually start right when I do that training in exactly 2 weeks on Tuesday, August 3rd. Make sure you come back for that. So I kind of went into a deep dive into those 2 weeks ago because I thought that was going to launch this at the end of this month, but it got pushed back. So what I wanted to do instead is talk a little bit more about sponsored display campaigns, and specifically remarketing campaigns or audience targeted campaigns. So what that means, and for those of you who may not know, when you are shopping on Amazon, and then you go to a different website. Maybe you're looking at your email. Maybe you're looking at a news page somewhere else, and sometimes you'll still see the product that you were just looking at in Amazon. Maybe a day or before, an hour before, maybe a week ago. That is a remarketing campaign. So you do have the capabilities to do that as well using Amazon. Um, I tend to not use it that much unless there's been some really high traffic days that you might be able to recoup some of your PPC spend. So exactly 30 days ago was what? Was Prime Days, right? So we're in July 20th, and exactly 30 days ago was there 2 days of Prime Day. So I wanted to launch just to see because you get a 30-day look back. So if I launch campaigns today, sponsor display, remarketing, audience targeting, then I get a 30-day window and I can target all the people that looked at particular products on Prime Days, but maybe didn't buy for whatever reason. Now, some of them may have bought a different version of a product, which you don't know. But again, it's just one more way to cast your net, so to speak, on the people, the shoppers that looked at your product. If they looked at your listing, but that hopefully means that there's some interest in your product or type of product. So that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And maybe they just didn't have the need to purchase it right away. Now you only have access to the sponsored display, or I just want to go back to show you, or sponsored brands if you're brand registered. So if you're not brand registered, I believe these are just dark. So you only have access to sponsored products if you are not brand registered. If you are brand registered, which you definitely should do, because you get access to sponsored brands and sponsored display. So for those of you that are not yet brand registered, pay attention because this is what you can do when you are brand registered. Okay. So I'm just going to go through, and I'm just going to call this a test campaign, even though, I'm not going to call this because I'm actually creating a campaign with you guys right now. Classic bike rack is the name of this product, and I'm going to call it sponsored display retargeting because that's what I'm doing, right? So Amazon's going to give me a budget. It's always pretty high. It's $100 a day. That's what it's saying. Most campaigns with a budget over $100 run throughout the day. I'm gonna trust them on that part. That's fine. Ad group, I'm just gonna call it remarketing. I need to learn how to spell and talk at the same time. All right. All right, whatever, it's fine. The ASIN I already have saved over here in my notes, which hopefully I can get to pretty quickly. There it is. 1 second, guys. Let's copy and paste. Oh, no, I don't need it twice. All right. Oh, dang it. There it is. All right. So this is just a bike rack. This is a two-pack, a two-pack bike rack. Now, for sponsored display, you have product targeting options and you have audience targeting. So 2 weeks ago, again, if you guys want to watch the replays, I went over product targeting campaigns. Today, I'm going over audience targeting because they're completely two different things. Product targeting is literally just you're targeting particular ASINs that you want your product to show on. And again, the audience is external marketing. Now, if you read it though, audiences placement on and off Amazon. So there are actual placements within Amazon itself still. If you browse anywhere on Amazon, you can dive deep on all parts of Amazon. There are ads everywhere now. So some of these placements are actually on Amazon, but our goal is to reach out to the people that are off, to reach to people that are not on Amazon, which this does. So now, this is the bid optimization question that I got, I think, twice so far from Andrew and Sandeep. Let me read your question real quick. Bid optimization, what is your experience with it? Which option has worked more for you? Okay. When I go for the sale option, I see it spending 50% more than the bid amount. So it's the way I understand it, Sandeep, is simply that it is optimizing for either two things. You're going to optimize for branding, for impressions, We have a similar bid algorithm in our Atomic tool called Launch. If you use that bid algorithm, we focus on impressions. We don't really focus on sales. I mean, sales hopefully are coming with a lot of impressions. So that's what I equate this to, optimize for page visits. So this is something that you'd want to do, maybe do at launch of your campaign. If this is a brand new product that you have no exposure, previous exposure to, I would say optimize for page visits, because it's really important for you to get that data really quick, as quickly as you can, without necessarily focusing on sales. When you first launch products in PPC, again, you guys, the goal is not sales, it's data. You need all the data you can get, so then you can focus on getting the sales. Without the data up front, then you can't whittle it down to know what to focus on to get the sales. So that's how I'm seeing this, Sandeep, and I believe Andrew as well. Optimize for conversions. This is what in my opinion, this is what the standard algorithm was for Amazon, because that is what makes Amazon the most money, is obviously if there's actually sales, as well as clicks. So this is the bid optimization that I would go with, that I choose to go with, again, unless you're launching a product. This product has lots of other PPC campaigns already, so I'm going to go with optimize for conversions, because yeah, I want this to be optimized towards actual sales. I don't need data. I have the data, and to be honest, with this, especially audience targeting, which I did click on, you don't get a lot of data back anyways. So I would say for what I'm doing, sponsor display audience targeting, I definitely would say optimize for conversions. Only reason I would use optimize for page visits, again, is if it's a brand new product that I'm just launching. I hope that makes sense and answers your questions, guys. Default bid says $1. That's fine. I'm going to leave it. And then here we get down to the audiences. So there's two different kinds, and one says new. So if I have time, I'll launch both. So views remarketing is what I was saying is the goal what I'm going after. And that is saying people viewed it, but they didn't buy, right? So that is this. Amazon Audiences is new. And this is just from the DSP. If you guys know what the DSP is, it's a separate platform with Amazon. You have to spend a lot of money to get into it. But slowly but surely, we're seeing new features from the DSP in Seller Central, which is really cool for you guys and super powerful. But this is the views remarketing is what this started with. So that's what I'm going to select. So I just clicked on the views remarketing. It's giving me some categories. So if I wanted to target a category, I could, but I don't want to do that. I just want to look for the people who, I already put the product, who saw this product in the past 30 days and just didn't buy it. That's what this is set at. So you could add a different category if you want. I'll add that in the next one. And you see two audiences listed here. Similar to advertised products, look back 30 days, or advertised products, look back 30 days. So which one do you guys think I'm going to do based on what I've been saying? I could leave both, right? But if my goal truly is just to get to the audience that saw the product but didn't buy, then this is the one I want. I don't want this one. So Amazon's constantly trying to get you to spend more money by throwing in like categories suggested here, throwing in even in the results, similar to advertised products, right? So if I left that one on, then I might be seen for other bike racks for the past 30 days that people didn't buy. But I don't want to do that, because bike racks are there's all types of variations of bike racks. So I'm going to go ahead and just, leave that one, and I'm going to X out the similar. So that's it. All I'm saying is just the people that looked at it. I'm going to customize the creative. If you guys have this option, always take it. You should have a logo, right? So make sure that it's uploaded. And you can see as I build this out, I did a little tagline here. Hold on one second while I copy and paste it. Make sure you take advantage of this, because you can see it, it stands out, right? It makes it a little bit more of an attractive campaign or ad type. And especially since this is going to be seen off Amazon, you want this to have a little bit more information. If I unclick this, logo goes away, and this little tagline that I just added goes away. So it would just be the image and then the title. That is what would be seen on, IMDb or Twitch, all these other properties that Amazon owns. So you want to make it look a little bit more attractive. And that's it. So I'm launching that campaign. So that is a sponsored display, audience targeting, but a remarketing, right? So if you guys have any questions about this, pop that in. I'm going to go ahead and do the second one as well, because I think it's important to understand the differences between these two. So the second one I'm going to do is the other audience that I didn't select for this one. So the second one, which was segments. So now this campaign, this product is very specific. So that's why I'm going to be using the audience segment, because if they are looking for this exact type of product, then it actually might work. So I'm launching these two. We'll see how they go. Maybe I'll report back on these guys in 30 days. You guys can come back and I can let you know how these went. So this is a sponsored display, and I'm going to call this a segment, because this is the other type. Again, leaving everything alone. The settings, I'm going to call this segment. And what that means is that I'm using Amazon's segments, that they have segmented some audiences already, like pre-segmented them. So I'm just going to see how that works. So this is the product. Let's go ahead and put that in there. So this is a fat rack. So if you guys are not bike riders, or if you've seen definitely over the past year, you're seeing on the road a lot of bikes with just really, really thick tires, right? Just really fat tires. And this is a bike rack specifically for that. Whereas the bike rack before that I did was just a standard bike rack, right? So if I can get people that are looking for this exact type of rack for their bike, then it might be more relevant. So I'm going to switch over to audiences. I'm going to optimize for conversions, because this is not a brand new product to PPC. And instead of views remarketing, I'm going to use Amazon's audiences, even though it says new and I said not to use this. When it says new, and again, there's learn more buttons here, you guys. So if you wanted to learn more, you can always read through and see, in more detail what these things are. However, I am going to try this because, again, I know that these segments are from the DSP. So, and DSP stands for demand side platform. It is where like major brands are going to Amazon to advertise their products. They let Amazon basically segment audiences on their behalf, and that's how they show their products to you guys in sponsored ads. So Amazon audiences, reach relevant audiences using our exclusive segments to drive awareness for consideration. So I'm going to look for bike racks. All right. In market, bike racks and stands right there. Perfect. Let's see what else they have. I'm just going to do this one, right? So I'm saying for this one, I'm going to target a segmented audience that Amazon has done already, and with the hopes that people are going to be looking for this exact type of rack, and then we'll select it. Now you see, it still gives me the same other options as it did when I just selected the views remarketing. So why not? Let's also include the advertise look back 30 days. Oh wait, no, that's not the one I wanted to do. Crap. Oh well. So I'm only doing an audience targeting for this one. So these are clean. One's just going to be the 30-day look back of people that looked at that exact product and didn't buy. This campaign is going to be strictly a segment that I chose from Amazon just to see how that works. All right, let's do the same tagline. Oh, let's see. There we go. Got the logo, your space-saving bike storage solution. I just made that up. And there we go. So we're off to the races. We've got two different campaigns that are going to go to two completely different types of audiences. Again, one that is people that actually looked at this listing and just didn't buy in the past 30 days, which includes Prime days, and another one that's just looking at segmented data done by Amazon already through their DSP with the hopes that people are looking for that type of product. All right, so let's get to the questions. Mir says some experts recommend not to compete with brands like Nike, etc. Yeah, you shouldn't. don't launch running shoes. Can we quit with that product in the long run? Even our product is more good in loyalty and customer value. You're never going to be able to compete with Nike. No. So don't do that. Come up with a product that is, not in as competitive a niche. That is the best advice that I can give you. If you're, unless you have a really high quality version of something, Nike's kind of a big one. So I don't know if that's just a bad example, but I guess it depends on the brand recognition, the brand name recognition. If you can typically build something or design something better than the original, yes, you should definitely try it. But trying to go after like a Nike, that's potentially a recipe for disaster. All right. Andrew says, I noticed in my existing display product targeting campaigns. Let me hold on, guys. I'm going to move this screen so I'm actually looking at you guys while I'm reading. Yeah, perfect. I noticed my existing display product targeting campaigns, which are over a year old, were converted to optimize for page visits when the new version came out. That's interesting. So you're saying, Andrew, that when you go to edit your campaign in Seller Central, that you're seeing optimized for page visits. That is something that, if that's true, that is something that I would have to look deeper into. Again, I assumed that it was the other one, optimized for conversions. That would be the default one. This is a brand new optimization thing that Amazon just launched. And of course, they don't give us a heads up at all, even though we're teaching you guys these types of things. So it might make more sense for product targeting campaigns to be optimized for page visits. Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, that does make sense for product targeting campaigns, because what are product targeting campaigns displayed on? They're displayed on listings. So I would say that not only is the optimization for page visits good for product launches, it's also really good for product targeting campaigns, because product targeting campaigns are on pages, they're on listings. So now that I say it out loud, Andrew, it makes sense that they would default your product targeting campaigns to optimize for page visits. So I hope that makes sense to you too, right? Because they're basically saying we're only going to show your product on the best pages, because that is the most relevant to your product, which means it's more likely that you might have a sale based on it being on a really relevant other page, other product, other listing, right? So I hope that makes sense. Jake says, do you generally start with a $100 a day budget? Is there anything you base that on? For sponsored display, absolutely. Anything sponsored display, whether it be product targeting or audience targeting that I just did, I always go with $100 a day. If you guys, I understand that's a lot to some people, but I would say it's worth it. There are still there are a lot more people doing sponsored products than they are doing sponsored display. Sponsored display, especially product targeting, really valuable positions. I went over those again, 2 weeks ago. Really high level, highly visible positions. So, but there's a lot less people doing them. So it's worth putting your budget in there to test. Now, will your budget stay $100 a day? Probably not. But at least at launch, you want to make sure you have enough budget in there so that you're staying on for 24 hours a day, at least for 2 weeks, like no less than that. If you guys can't do that, then you're missing a big chunk of data. If you're only putting $50 a day and it's going out every other day at 5 a.m., right? Then twice a week, you're missing an entire day's worth of data. And there's no point in that. The whole point of doing, especially at launch, whole point of doing PPC is to get the data that you can then whittle down and then target the right keywords to then potentially be spending less than $100 a day. Sponsored brands, I would say that you could probably get away with a little bit less than that $100 a day, but definitely for anything sponsored display, I would say $100 a day is a good budget. Andrew says, yes, great. Glad I answered your question, Andrew. Sandeep, sponsored display campaigns have converted more for me when I have a coupon with a certain percentage off. It shows on the top left corner and makes the ad more appealing for the customer to click. Yes. So according to Amazon, Sandeep and everyone listening, you get up to 40% increase in CTR with any kind of coupon. Well, so whether it be $1 off or percentage base, whether it be a lightning deal badge, where there's some of the other badges out there. There were some things they did for Prime Day. Anything with a badge, which a coupon you do get that. They're called the little thing that says whatever the percentage is. You do get a definite increase in CTR. So, but you have to keep in mind you're paying every time somebody uses that coupon, you're paying Amazon 60 cents. I think is still the minimum. And then you're also, the difference between the sale price and whatever the discount is, you're also losing that money too. So as a general rule, I would say coupons are something that you want to do at launch, and they are something that you want to do at high traffic periods like Prime Days, when there's a lot more people online and that you're going to be able to attract their eyes. And also with the holidays coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, these are times when you want to stand out and there's a lot more traffic. But they're not something you want to just have on all the time. If you do have them on all the time, then I would also recommend a percentage off versus a dollar amount. The reason I recommend a percentage off, which is what Sandeep is doing, is people don't do math. If you say $1 off, people know what $1 off is, right? If you say 10% off, people aren't going to do math. They're still going to click on it and still going to use your coupon, and it might actually end up being less than the dollar amount that you might have put in. So, Tate, thank you. I appreciate that. Mir says, spending $100 a day in a single campaign with one ad set worth, or same ad with duplicate ad set, but with different suggestions and keywords for the same products worth more. Wow, that's a big circle, Mir, that you just went around. So there's a couple different things. $100 a day on a single ad set or ad group. I know ad set is another way of saying ad group, but we say ad group here. Is spending $100 a day in a single campaign with one ad group worth the same ad with duplicate ad set, but with different suggestions and keywords of the same product worth more? I honestly, Mira, I'm not following your question. You might need to send this one direct to the PPC AMA email address, and then maybe we can answer this question in more detail next week or in 2 weeks from now. Andrew says, would there be any benefit to having sponsored display product targeting campaigns optimized for both page views and conversions? Yes, there would be a benefit because they are technically two different ways of optimizing. However, I don't know if you can do that. So from the options that we just looked at, there's one or the other. You're either optimizing for page views or you're optimizing for conversions. If there's a way to do both, then maybe, but then you're telling Amazon to do two different things. So I want to say that if you could do that, awesome, but you probably can't. All right, let's just keep going with the questions. When we set a budget, should we change it as when or better to have a strategy set with that? I don't like changing it when it runs out of the budget. What do you recommend? If you can, what I always suggest is to have a budget in mind. Do some budget calculations ahead of time so you know what you need to spend in order to have the data you need for a successful campaign. You can kind of get a feel for that. There are budget calculators out there. So if you can figure out what the average CPC is going to be for the keywords that you are bidding on, you should be able to extrapolate or calculate how much a budget you're going to need to be seen or to be on based on the search volumes, right? So it's a little bit of math, but if you can do it, I should say I would say have your expectations, have your budget set ahead of time, and then stick to them if you can. Now, I do think you should be flexible. Your budget calculations might be wrong. So if you see consistently that you're going out of budget in some of your campaigns, you might need to adjust that budget. But definitely once you're going and once you get a good feel for what your particular type of campaigns need on a budget perspective, I definitely suggest using the portfolios, setting campaign budgets, setting campaign caps in those budgets, or sorry, in those portfolios, and that way you just know that you're never going to go over. Um, this is a good way to make sure. Let's say, for example, that you have a product that maybe isn't really necessarily good for Prime Days. It's not a product that somebody would go out looking for a sale. It's a product that somebody only buys when they need it. So Prime Days might have been a good example or a good time for you to set budget caps, because you don't want just a bunch of looky-loos. You just want your product is for people that really need it. So, for example, I have a contact that sells crutches, right? So we set budget caps during Prime Day, and we will again for the holidays, because you only buy crutches when you need them, right? We don't want looky-loos. We don't want a bunch more impressions or eyeballs on those listings that are not necessarily applicable. So you do want to look at your product type and figure out, when is the best time to sell your particular type of product. And if high volume, a high search periods, like Prime Days might actually hurt you, then you do want to put some budget caps into play to make sure that you don't go over just because of the increased traffic. So hope that answers your question, Sandy. All right, we got 9 minutes. I'm going to go to, 10 minutes. I'm going to go to 11:10 since I started 10 minutes late, you guys. So if you have your questions, definitely please feel free to put them out here. Jerry says, I have 10 to 15 keywords I'm ranking 1 through 3 for. Awesome. Fluctuates daily. Should I turn them off my PPC for those keywords, or do you have a strategy for this? Jerry, there's different thoughts on this, and it's really kind of what your preference is. I personally, for me, my personal preference is if I'm being seen twice on the listing results, that's good. You're taking up. You have to look at Amazon and the results pages. It's just real estate, right? So if a shopper is seeing your exact product twice, they're like, oh, this must be a really good product. That's me. There are some people that are like, if your budget is really tight, Jerry, and maybe this is why you're asking your question, if your budget is tight, okay, then maybe you don't need to be doing PPC on those particular keywords because you are already showing organically pretty high. Maybe you just do low bid. So it depends on you. If you're doing it to save budget, sure, do that. If you appreciate the branding value, the branding being you're being seen multiple times, right, and the same results, then that's, to me, that is worth it. But that's up to you. All right. Andrea, I was thinking of keeping my existing sponsor display product targeting campaign, which is optimized for page views, then also creating a new one optimized for conversions. Andrew, that's awesome. Again, because like we were talking, I don't think you can do both. So A/B test always. So my thoughts on that are always A/B testing. You guys just saw me kind of do an A/B test right now, right? I built 2 different campaigns. I used 2 different types of audiences. They're both sponsored display. They're both remarketing, but potentially they're completely different audiences. So it's always best to A/B test. So if you want to test those optimization modules, let us know the results. Yes, I'm a big fan of A/B testing. Okay, let's get the question. We'll do some on then the question from Igor too. If there are 4 variations, different flavors only. Okay, so you got a product with 4 different flavors. We launched 4 different campaigns for each variation. Should we use different keywords or the same? So Um, variations is always a fun one too. This is good because these are different flavors. So people are gonna either search for lemon or they're gonna search for strawberry, right? As an example, if they really specifically know what they want. So the whatever, let's pretend it's flavored uh, straws, candy straws with the candy inside. So you definitely want to still be bidding on, candy straws because they're all candy straws. So in your four separate campaigns, yes, you're going to have crossover keywords because it is what the actual product is. But then the different keywords are going to be the flavor and different versions of the flavor, different ways that you can say, lemon candy straw, strawberry lemon, uh, candy straw cherry, best flavored candy cherry straw. There's different. You want to incorporate the flavor into your keywords, obviously, breaking them up. So um, it's good practice, Sonal, to have them in different campaigns because again, these are specific flavors, and then you can really test to see which flavors are doing the most or the best. Once you have the data, then you'll see maybe people don't like the lemon one, and you can turn off the PPC campaigns for the lemon one. I'm assuming that these variations, these flavors, are all on the same listing. So at the end of the day, somebody could go to your listing, see that you have lemon, even though they didn't click the ad for lemon, and go, oh, I do like lemon, and click on it. So it's always testing. It's good to break them up. But once you have the data, you will, of course, see that one of your flavors or two of your flavors are better selling than your other two flavors. And so you just turn those other two flavors off. All right. Igor says, is average ACoS of about 80% fine at launch? Yeah, I have only one rating at the moment. 2 weeks have passed, and I'd rather spend on PPC to get some organic. Also, is it actually okay? I'm very nervous. So don't be nervous, Igor. You've done the 2 weeks, and you've got some sales. You have a high ACoS, it's 80%, but that means you have some sales already at a lower ACoS, right? So you're still collecting data. You're still if you can go 2 more weeks, great. If you can only go 1 more week, that's what I'd suggest. Go at least 1 more week. Then look at your data, find your search terms that are closer to what you want it to be, maybe 30%, and then start targeting those or leaving those on, and then making the ones that are higher than, I would say, 40%. What you always have to keep in mind when you're looking at your ACoS targets is don't get stuck on a high ACoS keyword if you've got in the same campaign some low ACoS keywords as well that are converting. You always want to look at the blended ACoS. What's the total ACoS? Well, total ACoS is different. What is the blended ACoS of your keywords, right? So that's one thing. But what I suggest at launch, honestly, is 100%. 100% ACoS, because you shouldn't expect to make money when you're launching your products in PPC. You should expect to maybe, hopefully, not spend any more than you're making, which is 100% ACoS. So you're already below that, which is great. So yeah, you're doing fine. I would say, again, go another week, then look at your data at a minimum, or keep going until you get additional ratings. A lot of people ask, what do you define as a launch period? And I say, you know what, if it's a brand new product and you don't have any reviews yet, I would say you're still in launch until you get at least 10 reviews. Right. So however long that takes, that you're still kind of in launch mode, because that's kind of how people judge listings, is their ratings and their reviews. So until you get at least to a minimum mark, you're still in launch phase. However, if you can't afford that and you only afford maybe 3 to 4 weeks worth of launch type of data, then do that, and then fine to scale it down. Now that does involve having to go through 3 weeks worth of data in your search term reports, Igor, or you could just use a tool like Atomic, and it does it for you and finds the search terms and moves those into campaigns for you. But yeah, don't be nervous. You're doing okay. All right. I think we have time for a couple more questions. Igor also, follow-up question from Igor. How much money is fine to spend on auto, and why do some keywords work in auto on the exact same keywords do not work in exact bottom raise? It's a great question, Igor. And this is the reason why, especially at launch, I don't believe in doing your negative keyword or your negative matching in your auto campaigns if it's a low ACoS keyword. If it's a high ACoS keyword or search term in your auto campaign, yes, make it a negative. But if it's low ACoS keyword in your auto campaign, just leave it, but also target it in your broad or your exact match. There's no defined reason why. I happen to think auto campaigns they're run by Amazon. Amazon's got a really, really good algorithm for their auto campaigns. Your auto campaigns are a lot of remnant traffic as well. It's going to be, maybe times of the day that are not as not as much competition. So when you're running auto campaigns, you're really just letting Amazon do its thing. So generally speaking, the CPCs are going to be lower in your auto campaign for a search phrase than it is going to be when you're targeting it. So if you look at Amazon like buckets, the auto campaign is the biggest, widest bucket, right? It's got you're just saying Amazon, hey, do you do this, run this, and it's really a wide bucket. When you do a broad match keyword, you're now telling Amazon, okay, this is the keywords that I'm exactly targeting, but that bucket gets a little narrower because Amazon does not full control, showing it everywhere. They're just trying to focus on those broad keywords and the search terms. And then you got phrase matching, which is a narrower bucket because you're only saying, I only want these words next to each other to be seen, right? And then the exact match, even narrower. So it's just less traffic. So that's another reason why I think the auto campaigns convert at a lower CPC for the exact same search terms, if that makes sense. All right, let's see. We do have one for, you're welcome, Sonal. Let's do one more. Is there one more question? Variations different. Oh, I answered that question. Great. What does Jake say? We have actually seen search placement drop when lowering the bid or pausing that term, and it was difficult to get back. Yes. So if you want to keep your search terms performing, let Amazon do its thing. If Amazon is showing you for search terms that are converting pretty low, then leave it alone. You only want a negative, really, those that are doing really, really poorly. Other than that, I tend to say, let Amazon do its thing, but also tell Amazon, hey, I want to target, this word exactly. All right. So GP, let's do one last one. GP, can a product be that good after launch? PPC is never needed again. No. Seems that to be successful, you have to use PPC forever. Yeah, GP, the days of not having to do PPC, unless you're a super established brand, which takes a couple years, yeah, you're going to need to do PPC forever. And if you think about it, it's just your marketing budget on Amazon. If you were to open up a store on the street, you would do a radio ad, you would have to do flyers, you have to market your product. So it's the same thing on Amazon. If you look at it as your marketing budget, you look at the fact that, the average person takes 2 weeks to make a decision on Amazon. You want to be seen, right? So make sure you're leveraging your PPC, but be smart about it, right? Get your data at the beginning and then drill it down, and then be using tools to help save you some time, and keep on the lookout for new campaign types that are always being launched by Amazon. All right. Thank you guys so much. If you have any other questions that I did not get to, feel free to use ppca at helium10.com. If you have support related questions, if you have any issues with Atomic that you're seeing, maybe you have a bug that you might want to report, support at helium10.com is the place to do that. Be back here in 2 weeks where I'll be going into a deeper dive again of sponsored sponsored display product targeting campaigns. And I'll be telling you guys about the promo that we will be doing with Amazon in August. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.